Welcome to this week's episode of Tips and Tea. This week is the second in our series about change, and we're actually going to be looking at change, and we're drinking PG Tips blackcurrant tea in a Mind the Gap mug. And the reason for the Mind the Gap mug hopefully will become apparent as we go along. Change is one of those tricky things that sometimes we like and sometimes we really don't. When I teach classes about change, I ask people which kind that they like and which kind that they don't. And what they say is change initiated by them, they really like. Change initiated by other people, no, really not so much. And it all has to do with whether we feel in control or not in control of the changes that are going on around us. So each of us are dealing with change every day. There's change at home, there's change at work, there's change in the world, and it all has an impact on us. And so sometimes it's change that we actually agree with and can get behind, and sometimes really not. When I was thinking about how we're going to approach change today, my mind was drawn back to my very favorite book, which is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. He's one of my professional heroes and speaks, I think, a lot of real timeless wisdom. One of the things that he teaches very early on in the book is the space between stimulus and response, hence the gap. So everything that happens to us, everything that happens around us is a stimulus, and we get the choice to respond to the stimulus around us. So there is stimulus and there is our response. And between the stimulus and the response, there is a space. And this space is the space where we get the power to choose. And it's that space that he defines as being proactive. So whatever's going on with us, whatever's going on in our life, whatever's going on in our work, whatever stimulus comes into our lives, we always have the power to choose. And you never see this power more admirably demonstrated than when there are people who are going through enormous difficulties in their lives, and they seem to draw on reserves of strength that make their entire experience worth it and so meaningful for so many other people. You probably have an example or two of your own of people that are like this, but they really exemplify for me what that proactive space is. And we always have the choice to be proactive in whatever situation we find ourselves in. So the choice as to whether we're going to be grumpy or the choice as to whether we're actually just gonna tick on by. It's our choice. Are we going to make the most of it, or are we really going to let things get on top of us? Stephen Covey actually has a really clever model, and it's a really simple model to help us stay in the place of making proactive choices. And it involves 2 circles. There's a wide circle on the outside, and then there's a smaller circle on the inside. The wide circle is called the circle of concern. That is a circle that contains all of those things that we're concerned about but can't really do anything to change. The center circle is called our circle of influence. That is the things that we do have influence and or control over that we can proactively do something about. Now, the interesting thing about these 2 circles is if you focus all your time and effort on the circle of concern, your circle of influence shrinks. So just think in times of change where you're putting your time, where you're putting your energy and your attention. Is it on things you can do something about, or is it on things you can do nothing about at all? Because the more you focus in your circle of concern on things you can do nothing about, the less influence you're going to have. And conversely, if you actually focus on your circle of influence on things that you can do something about, it will expand. And sometimes it even expands to knock off some of those things that you're concerned about in the first place. It's a powerful tool. So my tip for you this week is to really think about your circle of influence and circle of concern, particularly if you're facing changes that weren't initiated by you. So on a daily basis, maybe if you're going through a lot of change, just on a plain piece of paper, sit down, write those 2 circles, write the things that you're concerned about around the outside edge, write the things that you can actually do in the inside circle, and then just focus on the inside, because that's where the power is for you. And do it every day if you need to. Do it once a week if you want to. It's really good at focusing the mind on the things that you can actually do something about. And the more you do, the better you feel. The better you feel, the more you can do. So that's the tip for change. Really focus on what you can do something about. Let the rest of it go. So that was change. Next time, we're going to focus on change's evil twin, transitions. See you then.